Hey everybody, welcome to the MMA Heat podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant on location, on vacation in Florida.
There you go.
Here with...
What's up, guys? Alan Jouban here. I am just at home in LA.
Yeah. Well, so listen, I'm having a mimosa, but listen, yesterday was Father's Day. Happy belated Father's Day to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, how'd it go? What'd you do?
Happy Father's Day, Wade.
Yeah, he's over there. What'd you do? What'd you guys do?
Thanks, buddy. It was actually, for me, it was a perfect Father's Day. It really was. We just did kind of like, I don't like to do anything too big, to be honest. I'm kind of just low key, but as long as we're doing something somewhat active, and went to Santa Monica Pier.
Nice.
If any of you guys watching have been to the pier, you know there's like a jungle gyms. You know what I'm talking about, camera. You can kind of work out on the side of it. There's rings and pull-up bars. So went out there with the family. We did a little bit of working out in the sun, just kind of like playing in the sand. Cage was kind of playing in the sand while I was kind of getting some workouts in. Hung out by the beach. Yeah. Went to the pier, won some prizes, ate lunch. Drove Black Betty there, drove back Black Betty home. So it was just a chill day, you know, but stuff I like to do, just being active, being outside, being with the family, driving the truck. So it was a nice day. We were thinking about going to Joshua Tree, which would have been fun, but that's like a 3-hour drive.
Oh, it's just like
a lot more stuff. So, you know, I'm all about the easy, you know, practicality of just go to the beach, come home, sleep in your same bed, get stuff done. So it was a really good day, though.
Very nice, very nice. Well, we were here, you know, we're staying with my mom, but my brother lives close by. So he had come over on Saturday. So Father's Day, I woke up and made everybody breakfast. I made like blueberry pancakes and, you know, bacon and eggs and stuff. And then we were going to go to this driving range place, Big Shots. It's kind of like a Topgolf thing, you know, but we got there and we hadn't made a reservation. So we roll up there and they're like, yeah, it's a 2-hour wait. Son of a bitch, all the dads are here, you know? And so we went to the bowling alley instead.
There you go.
Down the way, bowled a couple games, had a lot of fun. Dane, who's my brother, and Wade were within 1 point of each other on both games, I guess, right?
Tied on the
second. So they were in 1 point of each other on the first game, and then they tied the second game. But my mom smoked us all in the second game.
Really?
Straight up hustled us. She's all like, I haven't played in years. And then, like, totally smoked us all in the second game.
Wow.
But yeah, it was fun.
I saw you posted, I think, Wade hitting a spare or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, it looks like Wade knows what he's doing.
Yeah. No,
bowling,
for sure.
He had a pretty good swing. Yeah,
you know, he can bowl. So his
throw the ball
is striker.
Real hard.
Like, one of the first things we ever did when we first started dating was we went bowling, and so we both actually we like to bowl. I'm not saying we're like great or whatever, but we both actually have our own bowling balls at home and stuff. And so I had actually a long time ago when we first started dating. I don't know if we were married. I did. I got him his own bowling ball.
That's a big deal.
Striker on it and everything because he does. He's striker. So he has like a 16-pound ball at home, and I have my hot pink one that I've mentioned before from doing the Kingpin junket when that movie came out, and they were drilling it for me. And mine says Special K on it. Mine's hot pink.
Wow.
So we do have our own bowling balls, but anyway, we went bowling. But yeah, Ma straight up hustled us on the second game and totally kicked all our butts. But then we came home, and then I made a dinner too. I made like roast turkey with mac and cheese and, you know, Brussels sprouts and everything. So so we had a good day, a lot of fun. It was a fun day. And then I gave Wade some new like driving gloves and a couple of things. You know, one other thing actually is coming today. But I think we all had a good day.
Karyn, I love the story. The only thing that stays in my mind so strongly is that you and Wade have your own bowling balls. Though. That's amazing. I don't think I know anybody. We're going to have to put together
an MMA Heat bowling party at some point or something because it's
I think
really
you guys would smoke us. You would smoke me in the cold, but it would be fun. I'd be down. Yeah,
and I'm funny with my bowling. Like it takes me a little bit to get my groove. Usually around the one beer in, I'm like feeling things and stuff like that. But if I have too many, then it goes back down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I have a sweet spot around the one beer thing because, like I said, my mom won the second game, but she beat me by 7 pins. But I did much better the second game. The first game was my warm up game. I didn't even break 100.
We'll have to go one day. Family versus family. I got a feeling you guys would smoke us, but I'm down for it.
We might. Yeah. All right. Well, listen. A Saturday night. We had the Bellator show. Our buddy Chael has retired. I feel like that's the lead. You know, I used to work with Chael at UFC Tonight, and I worked with Chael at Fox a long time. And I had said when you could kind of see it coming right after he lost to Lyoto, and we'll break the fight part down too. But he had his gloves in his hand, and you could tell that he wanted to say something on the microphone. And it seems to me a very good time for Chael to retire. But one thing for me, like I just always said, like MMA was just more interesting with him in it, right? Like whether or not and listen, he said some things in the past that offended me. I know a lot of it was just done in the art of promotion, and sometimes I thought he maybe crossed the line and I didn't love what he said. But I did work with him, and I always loved working with him. He's so much fun. And I think MMA was more interesting with Chael in it. Not like he's leaving MMA, just leaving the fighting part of it. But I say cheers to Chael because I think he's he just brought a lot of attention to the sport, and I think he's done a lot of good things.
He did. I mean, you said, he's maybe said some things that crossed the line. The one thing that I did really enjoy about Chael is that even if you didn't see eye to eye on what he was saying a lot about the things, or you thought that he crossed the line, maybe it was racially or religiously or whatever he was doing. I don't remember the instance you're talking about, but I know he covered some of those topics.
Yeah.
Countries and whatnot.
Yes, all of them.
He likes to spit out the insults. So the thing that I did appreciate, though, is you could tell that it was kind of an act. You could tell that it was an act. You could tell that he was promoting the fight, but he was always very respectful after the fights. As much as I remember, he was he would spit insults before the fight. He would put on a good fight, win or lose, but then afterward, he would just kind of embrace his opponent and kind of let him know, look, man, like it's totally along that level. And I always like that. You could see the respect amongst him and Lyoto after. You could see it when Anderson Silva beat Chael Sonnen and invited him over to the barbecue. We all remember that moment. And Chael kind of had to chuckle to himself because he was kind of getting a piece of his own game back at him. But I agree. Chael was a pioneer when it came to bringing the WWE side, the trash talk side, just having a witty entertainment point of view rather than just always being like I'm training hard kind of thing, because it gets old. Even though it may be the truth, you have to add some new flavor to it. So he will be missed inside of the competitive ring. But he's not going anywhere in the sport. And I agree. He could have done this a long time ago. He's been doing well for himself for quite a while. And if all he did was fighting, he probably could have taken care of himself. But he's had so many different outlets outside of the cage. Being an analyst and things like such, his YouTube channel. He's very successful in my eyes in both points in competing and outside of the cage. And to be, what did he retire at? 42?
I think 40, he's 42, yeah. 41 or 42,
41, 42, still competing against guys like Lyoto. It's very impressive. So I think his family will be a lot happier now that he's not taking any more damage. He can sit back on the other side of the desk and just talk about fighting.
For sure. Well, so the thing was that you're talking about was back in the day when he was insulting Brazil, right? So he was talking about like Big Nog, and didn't he say he like fed him a bus a carrot? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that was one of them. He said the bit about them all being like pygmies and this and that, which I was like,
what was the bit about the carrot? Do you remember why did
that basically that they were like so dumb or something, or that the country was so backwards that they fed, they didn't understand, and they like fed the bus.
I remember it. I couldn't remember if he was like saying that Nog was drunk or hitting the head or what.
I think it was that they weren't bright and that it was like an undeveloped Slav country or something. But I remember the pygmy thing. And then, there was a lot of the trash talk with Anderson. I remember in the fight, he taps out and he's like, oh, well, I just thought if I tapped out, I meant I lost the round, not the whole fight. Like, he would come up with like hilarious things after the fact. I will say I never loved his walkout song, but I always loved watching Chael fight. And there were definitely times where, before I really knew him, and I think I took some more of that stuff to heart. And I was like, like offended or whatever. And then once I met him and once I started working with him, and then I knew really what was happening, and you knew it was part of the fun. It was part of the promotion. I say this all the time. Like, one of my favorite things is when we would work on, either UFC Tonight or especially on a live fight night or whatever. When we would sit at the desk and Chael, he has lovely eyes, just straight up lovely eyes anyway. But he has that twinkle, right? Like, and it was this thing that I really enjoyed being on live television, and I would look at him and I could just tell that it was like, oh, it's playtime. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know what he was going to say. And for me, like, that's entertaining to work with somebody who shoots from the hip, might say something like unscripted. It's just more fun. So
Absolutely.
I always really liked working with him because I would look him in the eye and then you're like, oh, or if you did know you were setting him up, you know what I mean? Like he definitely understood how to take the bait. He knew when he was getting softballed up, you know, to hit one out of the park. He definitely understands how to play the game, which makes it a lot of fun. But like you said, I mean, maybe not the best fighter. He had some great wins. He had some, you know, tough losses, but he was a guy that was very memorable and obviously, you know, changed the game. And it was funny because John Anik had tweeted out like, oh, you know, to my coworker and, you know, talking about his influence and stuff. And he's like, and there's a lot of little Chaels running around, you know, and John's like totally giving Chael all the props and the high five, and which I agreed to. But I was like, no. And I'm like, in my opinion, there's a lot of wannabe Chaels running around. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think anybody's come close. And yeah, he's the blueprint for the wise ass, smart talking, you know, whatever. And so I'm like, no, there's Chael wannabes. I think there's only one Chael.
Yeah, no, there is. I mean, anytime you're the trailblazer, the guy that started it, that you are the only one. Yeah. But we haven't seen anybody come along and really do it better in his style. Obviously, Conor McGregor comes on, and Conor McGregor has his own way of doing it. Yes, he's taken some pieces of Chael. He's taken a bit of that WWE type of trash talk, but they do it in different ways, you know. They both are very good at it, but Chael was one of a kind. I really liked how after the fight as well, even in defeat, when he was doing an interview, I think he saw the referee and he was like, "Come on, man, that was a bad stoppage." I had, you know, he was pretty much laughing at himself. He knew that he was out. He knew that he got his ass.
He was out.
And he was kind of making fun of himself. You know what I'm saying? He was like, you know, I was about to come back, joking around. So he could see the humor in it. Even in tough situations like there, you did see him get a little bit emotional when they brought up things about his family, his father. And that was also good to see as well, because sometimes when you see someone who can always laugh at themselves and always make light of the situation, you kind of see where can we pull those strings? Where is the true, you know, the true human inside of there that we can relate to? It's funny and we laugh at you, but also want to relate to somebody as well and see that certain things can trigger those emotional chords. And you saw it. It happened when it came to talking about his father and whatnot. So I actually really appreciated that he kind of gave that to us as viewers, as fans, as colleagues, that he's not all just fun and jokes, that, you know, he's got a heart inside of there. And he's a good guy just like everyone else. He just gets the game. He gets the game better than anybody. He's a very smart guy, and he knows how to apply that to what he does well and promote it. And like I said, he's been very, very, very successful because of what he does.
Absolutely. Well, I have alluded on a couple of videos that we shot that Chael and I had something coming up together. I may as well let folks know. So the other day I signed the contract. I'm going to work with Chael on the next Submission Underground.
Nice.
That's happening up in July up in Portland. So I believe it's July 7th or whatever. I think it's Submission Underground 9. So I'll go up and work with him and like do the interviews and stuff with the guys. And I think there's some ladies on the card in between. So it'll be fun to get back and do that with Chael, you know. So I'll head up to Portland. I guess it's in like 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks or whatever. So it'll be a lot of fun, you know. And that's the card where Rumble's coming back. Anthony Rumble's coming back to.
He's going to be competing on that one.
Yeah, Rumble is competing on that one, and I forget who else. There's a couple of, I can't remember if Ellenberger's going to compete again on that one, but there were some fun people on it. But I think it's going to just be fun to see Rumble Johnson back doing something competitive.
You know, the interesting thing about that is that we're starting to see this a lot of high level UFC fighters and MMA fighters in general starting to compete in these other circuits in the grappling worlds and jiu-jitsu tournaments. I felt like before it was almost like. This might be a bad comparison, but this is what comes to mind. You remember 20 years ago, if you were a celebrity, a big name actor, it was you wouldn't do commercials. It was like, no, that's beneath me, or that's just kind of like bad for your career. But now every celebrity is doing.
Oh my God, everybody's endorsing something. Yeah.
Why would you not want to? It's like, here, we'll give you $10 million to go endorse this fragrance in some other country. Nobody's even going to see it or do it here. You can be Keanu Reeves and be the face of Tom Ford and just add to your brand. So now is the thing to do. And I feel like that trend is kind of made its way into the grappling world as well, or the fighting world as well. Before, UFC fighters were like, look, I'm a UFC fighter. This is what I do. Now they're also saying, you know what, there's other outlets. I can make money. I can promote my brand. I can get a bigger fan bases doing these side tournaments. Some interesting matchups. And I don't remember what this other grappling promotion is. And I'm not trying to promote them. But the one, I think Anthony Pettis is competing against
Masvidal. They just did that the other night. Right.
Masvidal
and Pettis,
that happened. Yeah, that's true. you're right. That just happened. So a lot of very interesting. Some of them are kind of questionable, but interesting matchups nonetheless. And you're taking guys that have a brand, a name, and you're adding them to these events that otherwise maybe the mainstream may not have watched, because unless you're a hardcore grappling person who rents jiu-jitsu tournaments, which a lot of MMA fans don't do, but you will watch your favorite fighter compete and see how they do. So I think it's a smart move from the athlete's part and from the promotional standpoint.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So our thing will be on Fight Pass. Is where they air and stuff. So yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. But cool. The other question is for you, what did you actually think of the fight with Lyoto? Because we know here on our end, everybody knows we here at MMA Heat are big Lyoto fans. I know you have trained with him extensively, over the years, like just always been down with Lyoto. And I probably did think he was going to win going into this. We know that obviously Chael has that grappling advantage over Lyoto. But Lyoto is still a dynamic striker. He still has a lot going for him. And we saw that with some jump knees. We saw Lyoto really putting things together. One thing I did think was interesting is I feel like I hadn't seen Lyoto at 205 in a while. And so I was like, oh, he's a little chunky, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It was just like it was been a while since we saw like a thicker Lyoto, because I really don't think he has to work that hard to make 85, right? He's not a huge guy, so I think for 205 he like barely has to cut or whatever, right? So so I was a little curious if the extra weight would fatigue him at all or whatever, he'd get a little older or whatever, but it seemed like he was still agile and able to do what he needed. And Chael was strong at the beginning of the first round, but then Lyoto definitely landed some things and turned it up. And then I literally was like, tweeting something about it. Lyoto almost finished him in the second round. I mean, at the end of the first round, yada yada. And like by the time I'd hit send, it's like ding ding, round 2, bam, knee, bam, wow. I was like, holy crap, the fight's over now.
I know, when it's like on Twitter, sometimes you just got to go, or sometimes you got to wait. You don't know, because if you go too fast and then it changes, if you wait, and then it's too late, you lost the moment. I see how that was part of that fight. I was thinking the same thing, though. I remember asking you, I think it was the last show, like, what weight are they fighting at? Because I can't see
Right, we couldn't remember, but it was 205.
Right. Because I couldn't see Chael going back down to 185. It would have been too much of a cut, I think, at this point of his career.
Yeah.
But as you said, Lyoto's been at 85 for quite a while now. Been very successful at it for the most part. But he looked pretty good. I agree. I thought he looked pretty good at 205. Carried the weight pretty well. Didn't have the 8-pack as normal, but he carried the weight very well. Especially, like you said, he was landing jumping knees with that added weight. And I was impressed. I thought all in all it was just a well executed game plan by Lyoto Machida. He landed 2 times, at least 2 times, those jump knees. And when he would do those jump knees, he was switching stances. He was going to orthodox stance, chambering, loading the back leg, which is now the right knee. So now it's coming from the rear, which I think was just beautifully done, because Chael and Lyoto are both southpaws. And what Chael does is when Chael takes you down, he goes head outside on the far side. So he takes you down and he puts his head on the left side towards the right knee, towards that right knee. So as a southpaw, if Lyoto would have done the jump knee with the left knee, it might have hit him in the shoulder. It might not have caught. And another little detail that Lyoto picked up on is that they were probably watching a lot of footage. When Chael shoots in, not only does he kind of put his head on the outside, on the left side, from his left side. Right. But he kind of turns his head. And I don't know if that's with he's comfortable. Maybe he's just kind of, not in his game anymore. But ideally, forehead and chest, don't take your eyes off your opponent. If you're punching, if you're shooting. Chael was kind of taking his eyes off his opponent and looking away and getting the takedown. And I think he just got a little bit complacent. Yeah. He's taken down so many people for so many years. He didn't really expect Lyoto to switch stances and throw the flying knee. He thought that if he put his head there, he'd be in a comfort, a safe zone, and he can kind of look away. But it kind of bit him in the rear. Yeah. It wasn't so much Chael's mistake as much it was a good strategy from Lyoto. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was just very good game planning. Yeah. And you can see it. I don't know if did you see this, Karyn? After the fight, Shinzo posted some pictures of them training. Oh, I didn't see that. But so yeah, Shinzo, it's like it's a drill, something they were drilling forever then. They were drilling it over and over, where Shinzo had the kicking shield. Yeah. Lyoto was in orthodox stance, throwing the flying knees. So it was something they spotted in the footage. They repped it out in the gym. They executed it in the fight. And so you got to give Lyoto all the credit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's smart, and we know, you got to have takedown defense against Chael. Obviously, we know what he's going to go for. It's interesting. I thought Lyoto, set something up really nicely, but I guess, and maybe he said it, and I just, since I'm on vacation, haven't read all of it, but I'm curious where he's going to stay, like in terms of weight class, what he'll do, right? Because obviously Gegard is the champion. He's fighting this Saturday. We'll get to that in a second. But, Gegard and Lyoto fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
I was at that fight. It was down in Jaraguá. And Lyoto won that fight. It was actually a close competitive fight.
It was very
and
close,
Lyoto won that fight. But Gegard had some issues with it, some things that he was questioning. He thought Lyoto was a little slick and different things like that. Whatever. I don't want to get into all of that. You have, whatever. Gegard just talked about that. But anyway, if it's one of those things where Machida is going to go back down and weight, that rematch is something that has a lot of potential that we could see in the future. I'm not sure if Lyoto feels like he's going to stay at 205 or not. But Gegard is fighting this Saturday. They have Bellator London. He's facing Rafael Lovato Jr., who is a great jiu-jitsu artist. And he is undefeated in MMA, but it's 9-0 versus Gegard, who's like 45-7-2 or something like that, or 47-5-2 or something like that. So on paper, it looks like Gegard has so many more advantages, and obviously he's seen everything. And I do feel that with the, Jacare fights and just with the volume of fights that Gegard has had, I do feel that there's not necessarily anything new that Rafael will show him that he hasn't seen before. Mm-hmm. But obviously a fight's a fight, and you never know what's going to happen. But if, Gegard's still victorious, maybe he and Lyoto would rematch at some point in 85.
Yeah, no, a lot of interesting stuff that you just talked about. With the Gegard Mousasi fight, he's fighting Rafael Lovato Jr., who has been running. He's been running through people. He's been running through everyone. Like you said, no one yet with the resume or the experience or the skill set that Gegard has. So if I was placing the safe bet, I would see this a little bit like the main event that just happened, where Rory MacDonald fought Gracie. Right. And Rory MacDonald is just too well-rounded, good everywhere. Maybe Gracie has a small advantage in the jiu-jitsu department, but maybe in the offensive area, but defensively, a lot of UFC caliber guys like Rory MacDonald, like Gegard Mousasi, they could stay defensively safe. Yes. They might not have the offensive capability, but defensively they know where the safe zones are, and they will stay there and nullify some of the offensive attack. So I could see that happening for sure in the Gegard fight. And as far as Machida, I heard them talking. Chael was saying after the fight something about, this would have been a number one contender spot to fight Ryan Bader at 205. So I'm assuming that maybe Lyoto Machida will now. So
Lyoto would probably fight Ryan. I mean, it makes more sense for him to just fight Ryan. If he wanted 205 here, he may as well. Right.
But another funny thing about that is that these are both two possible championship fights. Lyoto's won both of those fights. If you remember, Lyoto Machida knocked out Ryan Bader at the Staples Center years ago. He also had that very closely contested fight against the one you said that you were at against Gegard. So either way, he's got good opportunities. Lyoto has some good opportunities ahead of him. But if I was Lyoto and he could make both weight classes, I would just say, which is the biggest fight that you can offer me the soonest? Capitalize on that. He's not getting any younger. No use waiting around for some other big fight to materialize. The first opportunity that comes, I would jump on that, whichever weight class it is.
Exactly. No, you make a good point, and it's funny because, like I said, I did interview Gegard the other day. If people want to check that out, one of the things he talks about is Robert Whittaker, right? And so we know there probably never will be a crossover, UFC Bellator event officially, but we know you have your Baders, your Machidas, your Gegards over in Bellator. Now we can have a former UFC fighters fighting each other. But Gegard was like, look, I could beat Robert Whittaker. I know how I could beat him, and that's a fight we just never ended up getting to see in the UFC. But he's like, look, he's good at this and he's good at that. But I do still think I could beat him. I would actually really enjoy seeing that fight. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But it's one of those things that's just kind of fun to debate because honestly, they're both awesome. I just think it would be a highly, highly competitive fight, and I can't sit here and say one dude would run away with it.
I think Gegard can be competitive with anybody in the world at 185 pounds. He's that good. He's that good in every area with his skill set. I think the advantage that Robert Whittaker might bring to the cage is just the youth and athleticism.
Yeah, for sure.
He has a more mobile type of game.
He's faster.
He's very good,
but
faster. He blitzes. He runs. He shows that he has the gas tank, the cardio to maintain that for 5 rounds. He's been doing these type of really blitz, high kick, scramble type fights, getting knocked down, getting back up. So he can maintain that for 25 minutes. Mm-hmm. That would be the toughest thing for Gegard Mousasi to contend with, because Gegard likes slow fights. Gegard likes to creep into range, pop his jab, bust you up with the hands, take you down if he sees an opening. That's his game. He likes to kind of the play where you're like in range the whole time and we're just kind of pawing at the hands, where that's a different range than Robert Whittaker plays. So that would be the toughest thing for Gegard to get through. If he could get through that and start slowing the fight down to his pace, and I think it would be a lot more competitive than some people might think. But fun fight. I'm down to see it. Back in the day, Dana did do a little bit of cross promotion when Chuck Liddell went over to Pride. I know I'm going way old school. I know it's a different day, it's a different era, but obviously Scott Coker is open to it. It's good for his promotion. I don't think it's a bad thing for the UFC, but I think for the UFC, Dana White sees it as a step down. He's taking his $4.2 billion company and then pairing it, comping it against another smaller company. So that's why we may not see that in the near future.
Maybe not, but Gegard is one of those guys where when he left, a lot of people were like, dude, how come you didn't keep him? Like, come on, right? So it's it's interesting. And then I get into it with Gegard about how many fights he has left on that Bellator contract, whether or not he would ever go back to the UFC, what his relationship with Scott is like. So it's definitely worth watching if people have any curiosity about that. But again, that fight is Saturday. He is facing Lyoto. But you mentioned Rory, and Rory is a fight that Gegard had before. They had that super fight. Welterweight champ Rory MacDonald came up, and Gegard really kind of ran away with that one, got a victory in the second round. And I had tweeted when Rory was fighting in the main event, like, hey, listen, this is a guy I've always liked to watch fight. Like, I've always been down to watch Rory fight. We know he's had like incredible fights with Robbie Lawler and stuff. But Rory's admitted he's found Jesus. He's a different person now, and he says, maybe he's just not the same in terms of wanting to hurt people. And his focus, or I don't want to say his focus, but just things are a little different with him now. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. You know what I mean? When he comes out to fight now, I'm not really sure what to expect. And I thought it was a very solid fight from Rory, but I do still think that like that aggressive, Romac gorilla guy, like we just have to maybe all accept that guy's gone. Because like you were saying a second ago, Gracie has great jiu-jitsu attacks, but Rory has seen it. He's been there. He knew how to intelligently defend all that stuff. I think there was maybe a couple times he was in like some leg lock threat, and then he really just was so calm about it and got out of it. And I really thought it was a fight that just Rory just commanded the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't get to see this fight in its entirety. I only saw the highlights of it. But as we said, we kind of expected this type of fight where he would be able to be a little bit too smart to nullify some of the offensive attacks from Gracie. With that said, so I'm not sold on saying that we're never going to see the old Rory again. I have to see it. I have to see it. Stylistically, this wasn't a fight that
would bring that out anyway. Right.
Exactly. Right. We couldn't see that side of Rory. I'd like to see him in another fight where that would be brought out of him.
Lima will bring it out.
And what's that?
Lima will bring it out.
Exactly. The next fight will bring it out of him. This is a hard-hitting guy, a very big welterweight, huge welterweight, who's trying to take your head off. So this will bring it out, and then we will see. It's for $1 million or so. So I think Rory's going to have to dig down deep inside and find that inner crazy psycho person that he used to kind of be inside of there. But, when you go through these wars, this has been said, but as a fighter, I do believe it, because I see it in myself as well, where when you go through these tough battles, you leave a little piece of you inside the octagon every time, and I can't quite explain it. If it's physically from an injury, mentally from getting hit in the head, or also just emotionally going through the ups and the downs, the post-fight type of emotions, the lead up and the build up, everything. It's like every time you do it, you feel a little bit different. Probably not so much in your first 5-10 fights, but when you start getting into 20s and the 30s, things start changing. And another funny thing is, as you get older, as with age, look, I grew up hunting and doing everything, and I'm not opposed to that. I still would go hunting now and then when I go home. But now, if my son's gonna kill a bug, I'm like, yeah, he didn't do anything. Leave the roly-poly alone, you know.
Totally.
And so I think that's just something that happens with age. You just want to be a little bit more peace with Earth and animals and humans. And some people find that in themselves at different times. And I think that's where Rory's at. He's kind of like, you know what? Why am I trying to hurt people? I'm kind of getting into the religious stuff right now.
He's a dad now, too.
He's a dad. Yeah. Things change. As you said, you get married or you have kids and your perspectives change, your outlook on life changes. And so he's going through that transition at that moment right now. So he's got a big task ahead of him. He's fighting a killer, as we mentioned, and he's going to have to dig down deep inside and look at it as, this is just a job. Let me bring out those old emotions. Let me get this money. And then after that, you know what? I would not be surprised to see this as Rory's last fight. He's done well. He's successful. He's financially done probably pretty good where he could step away from the sport. And to go out with a win and $1 million check, I think that'd be the best way to ride off into the sunset and start this new beginning of Rory that he's already hinting that he has coming.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great plan. And we have to remember, too, he started really young. You know what I mean? He's already he's still a young man, like you just said, with a lot of life ahead of him that he could do other things. But he also started really young, like just being fully immersed in the sport. So if he were to walk away from it sooner than later, I'd have absolutely zero problems with that. Agree with everything you said about how he fights and stuff. Like, Rory's great, dude. You know, you don't begrudge. It's like for everything he already gave us, you know, you can't keep asking for more for somebody that's been in so many incredible fights. So, yeah, I definitely do wish him the best. Of course, now this week, we do have a UFC fight. We have UFC Greenville. I'll be on the job on that one. And I don't even know who I'm working with because I'm on vacation, so I haven't paid that much attention. But
all good.
I'll be coming back.
You'll be fine.
I mean, whatever. It'll be Greenville. Of course, the main event, Renato Moicano versus the Korean zombie, Jung. Now, I think, Renato's now more of an ACT guy, but for a while, did you ever train with him? I mean, he was in Brazil and stuff, but didn't he sometimes roll through LA? No, never, huh?
I mean, I don't remember ever training with them. I mean, a lot of the Brazilian guys, when they first come to LA, or when they first come to America, sometimes the Black House squad will bring them in.
But
at Black House. And so a lot of guys do come through and they'll stay at the academy or something like that. I don't ever remember training with them because I remember being at Black House when Bryant Ortega was about to fight him. And I remember him telling me, this guy named Renato Moicano, and I was like, I don't know him. He goes, yeah, he's not a big name, but he's good. He's really good. Brian obviously had Brian had a really tough fight with him. Brian found the victory. And then we know what happened from there. Both guys' careers both exploded. They both went up.
I think Renato was undefeated at that point, too, when they met. I think
that might have been. So there might have been both of them being undefeated. And Brian did what he does. You know, he gets those finishes. Moicano, he's a gamer. He's good everywhere. What did he do? Did he knock out or did he choke out Cub Swanson? He knocked him down and then choked him out.
I have it here. I forget exactly how he ended that one. If it was, you might be right. It might have been a choke.
I think he might have hurt him on the feet and then finished him on the ground. If I remember correctly.
Right.
What I'm getting at is he's impressed me with all of his fights.
He's
good everywhere. Good striking. Good jiu-jitsu. Good rangy guy. Good length to him at that weight division, and he's going against a Korean zombie there, a guy that never underperformed. So it should be a fun fight, absolutely.
Agreed. So here it popped on my Skojos again.
There we go.
Because yes, I don't want to get right. So he Renato Moicano faced Cub Swanson at UFC 227. It was he got the performance of the night, but it was a choke, right? So it was a rear naked choke.
With a rear naked choke.
First round, late in the first round, but like you said, you hurt him. Then was able to get the choke, and that he beat Cub after he beat Calvin Kattar. Now Calvin Kattar is on a tear right now. That was the one in Brooklyn, but Calvin Kattar, as we know, just beat Ricardo Lamas the other day. So Kattar is very good as well. So Renato put together a couple of wins after that Brian Ortega fight, but then he lost to Jose Aldo. And we know that both of those guys, have faced Jose in the past and stuff. So. Yeah. It is interesting, but Renato is good, and now he did move. Remember, because I think we were talking about this on UFC Now, how Renato was training exclusively in Brazil and everything, and then like felt the need, like he needed to
Yes,
come up
yes.
to the States and train an American top team, which it seems like it's been a smart move for him.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, you know, when we talk about the Korean Zombie, you know, obviously that fight with Yair Rodriguez didn't go his way. But if you remember, up until that up elbow, which was at the last that came at 4:59, right? So
Yeah.
for 4 rounds.
Him.
And 99% of the time, you know, the Korean Zombie was totally kicking butt. That was all the way back in November, so it's recovery time or who knows what. But the Zombie, you know, looks great. I guess my question to you, Alan, since you're the fighter here, is like, you knew you were winning that fight, and then you got knocked out on that, I don't want to call it a fluke or whatever, that like incredible knockout, but
yeah.
Is that harder to come back? Like the next time you're fighting, you're like, dude, I totally basically won that fight, except I didn't, except for the up elbow. But like, how does that approach your mentality now that you're going into this next fight, knowing you basically had a perfect performance up until the moment you didn't?
Yeah, me personally, if I put myself in his shoes, and I feel like this would be also what my coaches would be giving me as well, is they said, look, man, you looked fantastic. You looked better than ever. It didn't go our way, but we all know what happened right there. It was just not a fluke. It was just, you know, he hit a Hail Mary pass.
It was a Hail Mary.
And the guy caught it. But he dominated. I don't want to say dominate, but he was whooping on him for the majority of 5 rounds against one of the better strikers in the UFC, a fantastic striker in the UFC, and he was able to hang with him on the feet. He's good everywhere. He's super tough. That was the first time I think we've seen him knocked out. But I would have a lot of momentum. It was kind of like, and I'm just trying to compare it to something that I've done when I fought in Brazil and I lost to Warley Alves, but I kind of got robbed in that fight. I fought good. Maybe I could have fought better, but I fought really good. I beat him the last 2 rounds. The judges didn't see it that way. But I left that fight and I wasn't crushed. I wasn't disappointed. My coaches were like, yo, you just beat up. You just handed an undefeated fighter, the Ultimate Fighter winner, tough guy in Brazil in his backyard. You just handed him his first loss, but the judges didn't give it to you. But you take that momentum. My next fight was the one at the Staples Center where I looked fantastic.
That was great.
Against the Australian guy. Sorry, I'm blanking on your name right now.
Yeah.
But
Richard Walsh.
Richard Walsh. Thank you very much. Good memory. So I think Korean Zombie will take this momentum. He looks fantastic. He was winning that fight in a 25-minute fight against a high-level striker. We just mentioned how good his opponent is, but I think he's going to have a lot of momentum. I don't think he will be down at all in this fight. And plus, this fight, you know, to lose a fight is one thing, but money always makes you feel better, right? When you can blow your nose with $100, it doesn't make you feel better. When you perform that well, and these guys got a fight of the night bonus, and it was probably nominated for fight of the year,
knockout of the year, all this stuff,
knockout of the year, everything. His credibility, his stock, it stayed up. It stayed. You know, everybody was still congratulating him on a fantastic fight. So you go home and you lick your wounds from the loss, but it's not that bad when you're still receiving the love as if you would have still won the fight, and you still got paid extra from the bonuses. So he looks fantastic. I don't think emotionally he'll be down from the loss. I think we're going to see maybe one of the better guys because he learned from that fight. Because the one thing that he did wrong was he played into the momentum of his opponent right there. He's winning the fight. They stopped the fight, Yair Rodriguez, and he said, look, let's do this. And he got restarted, and he got caught up in the hype. Now he knows, don't make that that flaw, that error right there. Stay doing what you're doing. Stay focused with eye on the prize. Don't get caught up in that. So we should see a stronger mental fighter in this upcoming fight.
Yeah, well, that's just it. He could have just gotten on his bicycle and ridden to victory.
Yeah,
but he didn't.
I mean, even if he didn't do that, even if he stayed engaging, he walked into something from. He said there was like a stop in the action, an acknowledgement, and then you come and get me. When like he said, he could have rode his bike to victory. He could have just stayed playing at range, but he just dived into something that he shouldn't have done, and he'll learn from that. I promise you, he's always going to remember that. I remember big moves that I made the wrong decision in my career, and you acknowledge that as a fighter, and you work on that. And he had to have worked on it with all this time that he's been healing up since the fight.
But that's also why he's a badass that we want to watch him fight, because he didn't get on his bicycle.
Zombies are known for walking forward, and that's what he does. So that's one thing you might not be able to take out of his DNA, but you can make a can you make a zombie smarter? We're gonna see, I guess. This weekend.
Shall see. We shall see. Well, cool. Yeah. So nice. So and you're doing UFC now with me on Wednesday as well, right?
We're working Wednesday. You're there, right? You guys are back from vacation.
Yep, and Ashley Evans Smith is going to be there with us, so that'll be fun. But also on the Greenville card, I really like the Lineker versus Rob Font fight at bantamweight. That's a very good fight. We have Andrea KGB Lee up against Montana De La Rosa. That's a good fight too. So some fun stuff. Some of these smaller cards now. A lot of the marquee names are on the pay-per-views and the big things and stuff. But a lot of time on these sleeper cards, we end up getting nothing but finishes on all the prelims or something like that. So it's definitely worth watching. That is Saturday, and that one is on ESPN+. But, so we were boogie boarding a little while ago. I might have to go catch some more waves now, and I got to go catch some waves.
Living the good life. I got to say, before we head out, I got to give a little final thoughts right here to did you guys get a chance to see it all? The Tyson Fury versus...
Yes, I saw the knockout and stuff. I didn't see the whole entire fight, but I saw the slip. And come on, man.
Only a couple rounds, so it wasn't a ton of fight to watch. But I got to say to the fans out there, I haven't been... I started off as boxing, came into MMA, and I just immersed myself in MMA for so long that I kind of pushed boxing on the back burner, which a lot of MMA fans have done. The MMA, the boxing world is coming back. It's coming back strong. The heavyweight championship of the world kind of means something again in boxing.
It does.
And it's exciting. And we were just talking about Chael Sonnen and people that bring the entertainment value back to combat sports. And my man, Tyson Fury, who just fought, who I am 100 officially on the bandwagon now, is one of the best entertainers, Karyn, that I have ever seen in the combat world. The way that he speaks on the mic. When he came out, he was in an all-black robe, and he was walking down, and they had TV screens of all the greats, Muhammad Ali and other people, Mike Tyson, and they were kind of, as he would walk 10 feet, they would talk about the next guy. Muhammad Ali, this is somebody that Tyson Fury says he wants to be the best in the world. And it was like a beautiful moment. I was like, this is a great walkout. He takes off the hood. He's got an Apollo Creed's red, white, and blue from Rocky... 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't remember which one. It's the showgirls with the fans, just like the movie. He comes out, and he's dancing, and I was in love with the moment. Like, I could not believe that he brought that moment back. Then, as you said, during the fight, he's slipping, he's rolling, he's doing the showboating, puts him away, knocks him out, has an amazing speech, and he gives everything on the microphone. And then the guy that was interviewing him says, "All right, now that I know you're a showman, I'll give you the mic, and I'll let you have your moment." And I go, man, he just gave you the moment. Why'd you put him on the spot? Tyson Fury spits on the ground, takes a sip of water, and then sings Aerosmith, the entire song to his wife or girlfriend. I'm not sure. I don't know that much. Right there, a cappella. He had the entire stadium singing with him. It was so much balls it took to do that. But I thought he nailed it, especially for a fighter who just got done fighting, and he takes that adrenaline and channels it into singing. I thought it was amazing, and to bring that type of entertainment value, he made me such a fan after that. I hope that the success continues for him. I hope we get to see the Deontay Wilder rematch. Two guys, I love both guys.
That was a good fight.
Say this, great fight. Tyson Fury just signed a $100 million contract, Karyn. A $100 million contract. I think it was with ESPN Plus or whoever's promoting it. So he's got some fighting and money.
He's a top-ranked guy, I think.
He's a what's that?
I think he's top rank.
So I guess I'm not sure who it is. I guess for top rank to come over there and start fighting on ESPN Plus. But nonetheless, I got to get back into my the ins and outs of the boxing community. But guys like this are bringing me back in. As much as a fight fan as I am, I need to see entertainment. I need to see fun fights. And these guys, these heavyweights, these Deontay Wilders, these Tyson Furies, they're doing it for me. So if you guys did not see the fight or see some of the highlights, go check it out. I promise you, you will be entertained.
Yeah, it was entertaining, and I agree. I mean, that was the whole thing, right? Everybody used to always just pay attention to the heavyweight boxer was the greatest, the baddest man on the planet, and I agree.
That's it.
No, he is very, very entertaining. Stuff. Absolutely.
He's good. He's very charismatic, and he might not have the look that you think baddest man on the planet, and he's the guy that
I know,
400. And he was like 400 pounds, and he lost all kinds of weight. But man, like he's got swagger. He dresses good. He's funny on the mic. I'm definitely a big fan of him now.
Agreed. Very cool. All right. So again, folks, we have a UFC now, I think, to promote this weekend's show. So there's one that should come out this week that we already did, where we talk about.
I think you're right.
Renato and Korean Zombie and stuff. And then we'll be doing some new ones. I'll be on the job in Greenville Friday and Saturday. Until then, you can follow me on Twitter at Karyn Bryant, on YouTube, Karyn Bryant, on Instagram, KB Heat. And, of course, we have MMA Heat across all those platforms as well. Alan, where can folks find you?
Yes, thank you guys for tuning in. Follow me at Alan Jouban across the board, all social media platforms.
Cool. Again, hopefully all you dads out there had a great Father's Day. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.